What is a poor person hack you picked up during a hard time that you still use today, even if you don't have to? Library, library, library! My kids go through books so fast, we easily save thousands a year using the library.
Also, it's usually warm in there. They have newspapers and comfortable seats without the expectation to speak to anyone or make small talk. It's a home from home for a couple hours if you can't afford to heat your home.
My library puts a "You saved X dollars today" at the bottom of the checkout slip, just below your due date.
My library also offers a hiking backpack you can rent, which includes a pass for free entry to state parks. Add in free tickets to local attractions when you complete summer reading challenges, free classes on things like learning CPR or Excel, resume reviewers, programming for kids of all age groups, all the things to do. I'm also guilty of still buying books from their donated book sales though. They're so cheap and the proceeds go back to the library.
Also, ebooks. Most libraries have an app, Overdrive or something similar, that lets you check out ebooks. Do that. Read them on your phone or computer if you don't have an e-reader. If you do have an e-reader, you can delay a book being removed by putting it into airplane mode around the due date. Since it's an ebook, it returns to being active in the system, so no one is inconvenienced. Also, not ebooks, but libraries have been acquiring more and more manga and comics, and DVDs if you have a player. Add an egg for nutrition. Got rice and veggies? Those are sides. Fry it with an egg, and that's a good meal. Add a hard-boiled egg to instant ramen for a gourmet experience. A piece of toast with a fried egg is now an open-faced sandwich. A piece of toast and an egg is not a poor meal. That's my breakfast. Fried egg on buttered toast is amazing. Keep old things as a backup pair. Shoes, glasses, etc. Often I wouldn't have money for new things if something broke, so if a pair of shoes fell apart, I would at least have a crappy pair until I could afford some new ones.
If you are absolutely for sure going to overdraw and there's nothing you can do to prevent it, go buy a grocery store gift card before the overdraw hits. Now you have access to food and gas without having to get hit for multiple overdraft fees before your next paycheck comes in. Just make sure that the total overdraft, including the big bill plus the gift card, doesn't exceed your maximum overdraft. Better still is to not overdraft in the first place, but when you're poor, stuff happens.
Soup, spaghetti, chicken and vegetable rice, make enough for 3 days. Parks and trails are free entertainment that make you healthier and less depressed the more you use them.
I have so many amazing memories of walking the local trails when my partner and I were in college. It was great for saving money. Neither of us are the bar type, so we'd go on long walks in the woods around the lake and river, then get drunk on cheap vodka in his dorm room.
Started out poor, so I hiked everywhere. Now somewhat financially stable, the kids love to hike, so I'm a fan of national parks. We just got back from Arches, Canyonlands, and other attractions such as Valley of the Gods. Such an amazing experience.
One of my most enjoyable life experiences was visiting every park in our local county park system with my kids when they were ages 2 to 8. Something like 160 to 200 parks over a 4-year period.
They aren't free, since you need reliable transportation to get to them, and a lot of state parks charge entry fees. Also, if you live in a place with weather, appropriate clothing is expensive. Source, that's my hobby, and I didn't do it when I didn't make much money.
A 20 to 50 pound bag of rice in your pantry will pick up a lot of slack in your diet when you're poor. I'm not poor anymore, but I always have a ton of rice at home. Rice and eggs, rice and ground meat, rice and a can of chili, rice and more. I wasn't always eating well, but I was never hungry.
$5 Costco whole chicken once a week, ramen, rice, beans, and eggs. This got me through months of low income. It was like $50 to $60 for a month of 2 meals a day.
I'm not poor, relatively speaking, but the Costco chicken is one of the many reasons I'm not. When I do a Costco haul, I buy like 6 of them. My wife breaks them down and stores them. The entire thing is a blank protein canvas. Unless you're making something very specific, I have no idea why you would buy chicken in Costco in any other configuration. It's more work for more money and less chicken pound for pound, dollar for dollar.
Their pizza and hot dog is a good deal too. $10 for an 18-inch cheese or pepperoni isn't bad at all. Calorically dense if you're trying to bulk up too.
Start a jar collection. I haven't used plastic baggies in years. Everything goes into the jars.
Peanut butter oatmeal is really cheap calories and nutrition. Chug water with every meal to feel full.
I add Greek yogurt to that combo. That was dinner today.
Learning to love my crock pot and eating the same meal for an entire week. An amazing money saver, and I still do it because it was an ingrained habit for years.
I don't even do it to save money. I do it because it's minimal effort, and figuring out what I want for dinner every week, let alone every day, is a pain in the ass. For a while, I was traveling to the same site every third week, Sunday through Friday, and I stayed in the same hotel. The rooms had a dorm fridge and you could borrow stuff. So I bought a cheap crock pot and told them to put it with the borrow stuff. On my way from the airport, I would stop and get a crock pot meal for the week. My per diem was something like $85 a day, so I was pocketing $400 a week. It was a nice bonus and actually easier than going out and getting food after a long day.
I always start with chili, and when it's about 2/3 empty, just chop up some veggies, whatever meat you've got in the freezer, baby potatoes, and stir in some broth or sauce or whatever, and now you've got hunter stew. You can keep doing this for like a whole week, like some kind of medieval innkeeper.
I'm having a pork loin week this week. All the wondrous variety of pulled pork shoved in whatever it'll go into for at least 3 or 4 days without having to think too hard. Pork tacos, pulled pork sandwiches. We're talking cheat mode, so I'll try and snag some luxury buns from the outlet store where smash and dent is 35 cents a pack. Pork mac and cheese used to be the last day way to finish off the dregs, but my kids have been bugging me for it since Thanksgiving, so that was the starter and the reason I did it this week. Hot pork sandwich on a bagel with cream cheese for breakfast, that's better than it's got any right to be. You can do the same with shredded chicken too, but pork brings a bit more flavor.
Never go to the grocery store hungry. Always go after you eat. I have to do the opposite of this. Anytime I go grocery shopping on a full stomach, nothing looks good, so I don't buy enough and regret it later, lol. I still use plastic grocery bags for my bathroom and office trash cans. Being kind will get you further in life than anything else. No dollar days. See how many days you can go without spending $1, then try to beat your previous records. Also, $3 a day is $1,000 a year. I've been paid bi-weekly my entire life, so my record for $0 days is 14 days, several times. Explain this one a bit more. Aren't most people's expenses outside of poverty more cumulative or monthly than they are daily? I can go over a week with nothing leaving my checking account easily enough and still spend $10,000 for the month. It's a nice thought, but there really isn't a day you aren't accumulating spend, even if money isn't changing hands, yet, unless you are homeless. Taco Tuesday at work? Breakfast and lunch covered, baby. Save and plant your seeds. Compost and turn your compost regularly. Grow whatever you can and can whatever you can't eat soon. Google the fix for something that is broken, and if you think you can do it, try. The amount of crooks in appliance repair is insane. I just replaced the igniter in my oven. Pretty proud of myself for that one. Amen. It's already broken. You gonna break it more? Fix that thing. Our water heater went out a couple months ago, and I watched 2 videos and had the pilot light assembly removed, thermocouple cleaned, and hot water back in less than an hour. My partner wanted to call a repair guy, which would have been like $300 just to look at the thing. My desire to not have strangers in my house is even more motivation than the money, though. The hardest part is often just finding the right replacement part. YouTube will step you through everything else. Help out your neighbors without asking for payment when they're in need and when you are able. I've been showered with free food, things, and acts of service from grateful neighbors. So much. We moved to a very rural community a few years ago, and the gift economy and round acts of kindness have been wonderful. Yesterday, I made apple caramel and had my kid bring a jar to the neighbors. She came back with a plate full of homemade cookies, 4 pounds of quinces, a jar of homemade quince jelly, and a dozen eggs from their coop. That reminds me of a Steinbeck quote, "If you're in trouble or hurt or need, go to poor people. They're the only ones that'll help. The only ones."
Same. I've fixed fences, shed doors, helped jack cars up, lent chargers and extension cords, loaned my strimmer and lawnmower out, and fixed various household appliances. I get fed homemade meals and baked goods a lot. Always help your neighbors, but never do it to expect anything in return. You shouldn't feel like you need an incentive to help your neighbors, or your community, or anyone for that matter. I get what you are saying, but the world, everything just feels so weird. Someone does something nice for you, then they film it and put it on the internet for their clout. Just help people. Don't ask for anything and don't expect anything in return. That last sentence in your post was not needed, and people need to learn to help others without expecting compensation.
There are some exceptions, but for the most part, store brand is just as good or the same as name brand. In the case of Kirkland, it might be superior. Beans are a magical food. Even better if you make them yourself. Buy a 1-pound bag of dry beans for $1.25, and that is a good amount of protein and fiber.
I'm embarrassed to admit that I recently made beans for the first time from dry beans, not from a can. I used my pressure cooker, and they tasted magical. I couldn't believe the difference.
I chuckled to myself with the part about the store brands. It is so deeply ingrained in me that I didn't even consider it a hack, just a universal truth. Beans freeze decently, so you can make a giant batch all at once, then divide and freeze what you don't use right away. I always found cooking them a royal pain, so this helped a lot. Peanut butter was my personal magical food though. Very filling, decently nutritious, and a decent amount of protein.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It really helps. Subscribe for more, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next one.